I have to spend just a few minutes talking about the Democrat debate last night. To tell you the truth, I had a meeting I couldn't go, but I did watch quite a few different clips. So the Democrat Debate Doozies, that's had to call this. I would just tell you, I thought of the whole evening, the most enjoyable one was of the clip that I did find. This is clip 4 from my wonderful producer, Matt, who puts up with all my last minute adding clips. But Democrat debate, this is Representative Tim Ryan, who is answering a question, some question he got. He gave a tiny answer to it, and then he jumped right into this clip, which I want to have you hear, clip 4. This is Tim Ryan, Democrat presidential candidate.
Our way out of it. But let me just talk real quick to the previous question about real politics. We could talk about climate, we could talk about guns, we could talk about all of these issues that we all care about. We have a perception problem with the Democratic Party. We are not connecting to the working class people in the very states that I represent, in Ohio, in the industrial Midwest. We've lost all connection. That we have got to change the center of gravity of the Democratic Party from being coastal and elitist and Ivy League, which is the perception, to somebody from the forgotten communities that have been left behind for the last 30 years, to get those workers back on our side so we can say we're going to build electric vehicles, we're going to build solar panels. But if you want to beat Mitch McConnell, this better be a working class party if you want to go into Kentucky and take his rear end out. And if you want to take Lindsey Graham out, you got to have a blue collar party that can go into the textile communities in South Carolina. So all I'm saying here,
thank you, Congressman Ryan.
All I'm saying here
thank you, Congressman Ryan.
So Chuck, all I'm saying is here, if we don't address that fundamental problem with our connection to workers, white, black, brown, gay, straight, working class people, none of this is going to get done, Chuck.
Okay, that was a stellar quote of the whole night. I found a Democrat I agree with. He's exactly right. The Democrat Party is out of touch with a vast majority of Americans. They are the elitist, the left coast, the right coast, the Ivy League, the intellectuals. So he really hit the nail on the head, and he did hear the audience applauding. You did not hear the audience applauding as much in response to what he just said, as to many other quotes from the evening. There were quotes, all these things about, and college ought to be free, and healthcare should be free, and Medicare for all, and pay back all the debt everyone's ever required for college. I mean, all these kind of free. That really sends that audience into a tizzy. I did want to play one really bizarro. I don't think Julian Castro really got on board with what Tim Ryan was saying, because he had the most, this may win the prize, the most bizarro comment of the evening. This is Julian Castro, again, Democrat presidential candidate, in the debate last night.
I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. And what that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose. And so I absolutely would cover the right to have an abortion.
Okay, just to be clear, I mean, if any one comment from the entire debate last night was mercilessly attacked on Twitter, it was that one. Transgender woman means man. It means a man who is physically, biologically, anatomically male. And he's speaking up for anatomical males' rights to abortion. I mean, there were many funny, I consider running a bunch of funny tweets. It's not worth it. But, I mean, seriously, so that's a kind of comment, Julian Castro's comment and others, that make people say, this party is so out of touch with anything that matters in this country. We have jobs back. We're thrilled to have jobs. We have a president who wants to secure the border. You guys want to abandon the border. We have an economy that's booming. How could you be talking about raising taxes and increasing government regulation? I mean, this group is so far left that the only sane thing I heard, at least in the clips I played, was Tim Ryan. Last thing I want to just point to, this is kind of summarizes, this is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who at least is not running for president this year, but she was on some late night talk show, and she had a little clip that he was basically asked, as late night guy, what do you think about the debate? So I'm just going to play for you what she had to say.
this big, it can kind of seem like a high school classroom, and so there are some folks that like didn't seem like they read the book, and then they got called on. And then
anybody in particular?
And you kind of like it depends on the question, and so so they'll answer the question or they'll get called on. And I don't think some candidates thought that they were going to get called on a certain question, and then they'll be like, "Yes, the hero was courageous and the protagonist of the story."
Yes.
I'll be honest. I really do think that this was a breakaway night, and I think that. There was, I think Elizabeth Warren really distinguished herself. I think Julian Castro really distinguished herself. I think Cory Booker did a great job in talking about criminal justice. And I think that there were communities that got centered tonight. The trans community got centered tonight. The immigrant community got centered tonight. And I think that that was an extraordinary moment as well.
Okay, I just want to make the point. I wanted to play that as a wrap up for today. And as you know, there's another round of debates tonight. The second 10 of the Democrat candidates have their debate tonight. But what AOC, why I wanted to play her is, this is the mindset that has captured the young Democrat millennial vote in this country. They are looking for someone who will speak to the trans community and speak to the gay community and speak to the Hispanic community and speak to all these, it's another form of hyphenated America. Instead of African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, these were the community because the hyphenated got kind of unpopular. But all they're really talking about is trying to segment society, and then her worldview is, what is it these people say that make these little groups happy? It is so small, so out of touch, so unserious in a world, and we facing the dangers we face in this world, facing the challenges America has, facing an unsecure southern border, facing threats from China, facing threats from the economy and all sorts of issues. Everything's going great, and yet what she wants to talk about is, did each of those candidates address the trans community? But sadly, she is representative of far too many of the leftist voters who are going to choose among those Democrat candidates.